March 3rd, 1959. The place, Cape Canaveral, Florida. The subject, the launching of Pioneer 4, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration's historic moon rocket that was about to leave the world of mankind far behind. It's now the third countdown. In the last 2 days, 2 launching attempts have been canceled due to both weather and technical difficulties. Last into place, the sleek nose cone designed to shelter the all-important payload. And while technicians at Cape Canaveral are busy with the complicated countdown procedures, huge radio tracking sites stand by downrange in Puerto Rico and across the country. At nightfall, final fueling operations are completed. The order is out, vacate the launching pad. Success or failure is just a few seconds away.
Over.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Firing command.
Already computers are in action, plotting the trajectory of the rocket, analyzing a multitude of radio signals.
There goes 3.
Pioneer 4 was on its way. History was being made. Newspapers and newsreels brought the colorful launching into the home of every American. But how many of us knew what the all-important payload looked like? How many of us knew the true purpose of this product of human genius? This was the vital part of the story that stirred the imagination of request writer Philip Flanders of Phoenix, Arizona. Now, he writes, "Dear Mr. Smith, as our first successful moon probe blasted into space, 2 things stood out in my mind. First, what efforts lay behind the glamour and excitement of the launching? And secondly, what actually was supposed to happen once Pioneer 4 shot out of sight beyond the Earth's atmosphere? I think the answers would prove just as fascinating as the blast-off itself." Quite a request. And to get the answer, let's turn back the clock for a privileged visit to Caltech's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. This is the environmental lab here at JPL, and here in my hands is the payload, the heart and soul of Pioneer 4. About 15 pounds of intricate electronic brain matter. And if you're wondering about this man-made North Pole, it's one of the many devices used to test the ability of the payload to operate under actual outer space conditions. In this case, extremely low temperatures. Thank you. You know, you could call this a torture chamber because the satellite must pass a whole series of torture tests before the actual launching. Come on along. I'll show you what I mean. Our guide for the day is engineer Len Marsh. First, the shock test. The weight hits with a force of 100 Gs, or 100 times the normal force of gravity. Over and over again, the test is repeated to test the durability of the payload. Another form of shock test, this time the upward jolt of 100 Gs. A form of punishment the payload will face as its various rocket stages ignite. Watch it. This test is as fast as the blink of an eye. the payload is checked out 100 times over, down to the very last detail. There's no room for the slightest flaw. We're packed inside of the instruments that must precede man's journey to the moon. This is the centrifuge machine. As the payload zooms toward its target, it will be spinning at a high rate of speed. The centrifugal force will be terrific. It's a problem that has to be solved. Another actual space travel condition brought to light in the laboratory. Every circuit, every instrument has to pass the test or else be rebuilt over and over again until perfect. This they call the shake table, a device that simulates the stress and strain created by the vibration of the rocket motors. The strobe lights now. First the shake of the rocket motors, then the actual sound and vibrations of high-speed travel. The strobe reveals the payload's ability to absorb heavy vibrations, a definite danger that can't be overlooked. The search for perfection is endless. What you've just seen is only a fraction of the preparations necessary to get a functioning payload off the ground. But why do we launch such a space probe in the first place? What happens after the liftoff? Well, that we can't answer with on-the-spot cameras, but just lend us your imagination, and we'll take you along on a moon probe by way of the animation camera. Our target is a near miss of the moon, over 250,000 miles away. Packed into the payload is a mass of miniature devices that will measure the deadly field of cosmic radiation around the Earth, relaying the information back to Earth-bound receiving stations by radio. Already the stage 1 rocket is burned out. Next, the booster motor will drop off, and almost simultaneously the nose cone goes, moved out of the way by a rocket motor of its own. Now the high-speed stages play their role, driving the moon probe to a speed that will enable it to escape the gravitational pull of the Earth. Computers showed Pioneer 4 to be slightly off course, but still achieving its objectives. The de-spinning device worked perfectly. Weights attached to wires stopped the spinning motion of the payload, allowing it to coast towards the moon at peak efficiency. In California, the Goldstone tracking station recorded a symphony of radio signals that were translated into cold, hard facts about space travel to the moon and conditions to be found there. As Pioneer 4 coasted past the moon and went into orbit around the sun, the world already knew that soon there would be a moon probe. A moon probe that would someday carry man to his supreme adventure, the exploration of the moon and the outer space beyond.